Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Hukamnama Sahib today is by Satguru Ram Daas Sahib Jio in Soohee Rag on Ang 733 of Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Satnam Sri Vaheguru Ji. Soohee Mahalla Chautha Kar Cheva Ek Oankar Satgur Prasad Neech Jaat Har Japtya उत्तम पदवी पाए पूछो बिदर दासी सुत किसन उतरिया घर जिस जाए नीच जात हर जपतिया उत्तम पदवी पाए पूछो बिदर दासी सुत किसन उतरिया घर जिस जाए. Gurmukh Pyareo, Satguru Ram Daas Maharaj Ji begins a Shabad in Soohee Rag, Mahalla Chautha by Satguru Ram Daas Sahib Ji, Kar Chhema, in the 6th house of singing. Guru Sahib Ji has instructed us to sing it in this way. Ik Oankar Satguru Prasad. Satguru Maharaj Ji writes down the Mangala Charan. Ik, there is one. Akal Purkh Vaheguru, Oankar, Lord God, who is the creator, nourisher and destroyer of all this world, in whose kar, in whose hukam, in whose will, in whose command this whole world is. Sat, Gur Prasad, and that Guru who is forever eternal, the true Guru, Vaheguru, that Lord God, is found through the grace, the prasad of the eternal Guru. Satguru Ram Daas Maharaj Sahib Ji begins the Shabad, Neech Jaat Har Japatya Uttam Padvi Paye. Neech Jaat. Jaat means caste or social class. Those people who are considered to be neech, lowly. Those people who are put into a box by the world, that these people are low because of the family they are born into, or because of the caste, the class that they are born into. Those people who have been labelled such by the world, Har Japtya, by meditating upon Hari, by meditating upon Vaheguru, they have received. What have they received? Uttam Padvi. Padvi means status. Uttam means the highest. Uttam doesn't mean better. It doesn't mean one better, two better. Uttam means the highest, the most blessed, the greatest. Satguru Ram Daas Maharaj Ji is saying to us today, those people who the world said these people are low, they are beneath us, they are low class, they are low caste, they are untouchables, those people who people of the world wouldn't sit with to eat, who they wouldn't mix with. Guru Sahib Ji says the power of God's meditation, the power of meditation upon the Naam is such that these people have achieved the highest status in this world. These people have achieved the status of Jivan Mukti, of being liberated whilst being alive. And both in this world and the next, they have achieved the highest status. And Guruji gives various examples. And we'll come back to that later on in the Katha. Pucho Bidar Dasi Suteh. Pucho, if you want to ask for a proof of this, look at the story of Bidar, who was the Sutta, the son of a Dasi, of a slave girl, of a servant. Now this is a long Puranic story that Guruji is giving an example of here. But to cut it down very short, in Puranic times and in the Puranic mythology, there is the story of the Pandavas and the Kauravas and their fight in between, their battle in between, and it's called the Mahabharata. But Guru Sahib Ji is giving us an example, a very short example, and we'll only go into this history very, very slightly, just so that we understand. There was a kingdom of Hastinapur, and for some reason the kingdom was left without any heirs. There were queens, but there were no sons. the Queen Mother asked a son of hers who was a hermit known by the name of Rishi Vyas to use his spiritual powers, to use his yogic powers to create another lineage, to create heirs for the throne. And it is said that there were two queens. The first name was Ambika and Ambalika. And it is said that the Rishi Vyas said, I'll use my yogic powers to create a child. When Ambika and Ambalika went in front of Rishi Vyas, when they looked at him, one closed her eyes because she was scared, and one went pale. The one who closed her eyes, she gave birth to a blind son called Dhritarashtra. The one who went pale, she gave birth to a very sickly son called Pandu. And so the Queen Mother sent in a third, who was a servant girl. She looked directly into the eyes of the yogic master Vyas, and because she looked directly into his eyes, through the yogic power he blessed her with a child. Now this is the Puranic story, the Puranic myth, and that child's name was Bidar. Dhritarashtra and Pandu went on to become kings of Hastinapur. But Bidar, because he was the daughter of a servant girl, even though he was the most healthy physically, was not allowed to become king, and he was always treated as a minister, but not as a king of the state. He was a minister, he was the prime minister, but he was not the king. He could never be the king. And he was always taunted by the others and known as the son of a servant girl. And Guru Ram Das says, Pucho Bidar Dasi Sutay Kisan Utraya Kar Jis Aaye. Krishna, the avatar of that time, the incarnation of Vishnu at that time, in the period of Dwapar, in the age of Dwapar, Krishna, being the incarnation of Vishnu, when Duryodhan, another king of Hastinapur, heard, and Duryodhan was the son of Dhritarashtra. The Gurmukh Pyareo, I'm not going into this in huge amounts of detail, but Duryodhan was the son of Dhritarashtra, and when he heard that Krishna was coming towards the palace, he thought, if I get up in my court to respect Krishna because he's the avatar, he's the incarnation of Vishnu, then people will say the king has got up for a cowherder, for the son of a cowherder, because Krishna was brought up amongst cowherders. And so Duryodhan decided that he'd go to his stables and to where he kept his elephants, and he would greet Krishna there because he'd be standing up anyway. And we find Bhagat Kabir ji record this in Gurbani, Hasti dekh param te pula, Sri Bhagwan na janya. And so he went into his stables, and Krishna didn't even go into the palace, didn't even go into the court. Instead of going towards Duryodhan, instead of going into the palace, he went straight to the house of Bidar. Bidar, who was considered lowly, Bidar, who was considered the son of a servant girl. And he sat there and he ate with Bidar. Kisan utriya kar jis jaye. Satguru Pasha ji is saying that from time immemorial, and Guruji gives this Puranic example first, but Guruji goes on to more recent examples. Kisan utriya kar jis jaye. If you want to know how the name of God can change things over in the world, Krishna was going to walk into the palace, but the love of Bidar and Vidar's pure heart attracted Krishna to his house. The Gurmukh Pyareo Uttam Padavi Pai. In this world, Bidar received that honour of being honoured with Krishna coming to his house. Har ki akat katha suno jan pai, O jan, O servants of the Lord, O pai, O my brothers. Listen to the akat katha, the unspoken speech, the akat katha. What does that mean? The story which is never ending. The story which was beyond words. What is that story? The story of God's love. The story of God's glory. Our tongue cannot count all the virtues of God. That's what it means, akata katha. The speech which is beyond all words. Jit sahasa dook pook sab lah jaye. If you meditate upon God who is beyond even our words, all of your sahasa, all of your doubts, all of your duk, all of your pains, all of your pook, all of your hunger, sab, not one, not two, all of them, lahajai, will be removed. Rahao, Sadhguru Ram Daas Maharaj Ji says, pause and think about this. Ravi Daas chamar ustat kare. Bhagat Ravi Daas Ji, who was from the Chamar caste, who used to work with leather, make shoes, ustat kare, he praises God. Har kirt nimak ik gaye. And nimak, every single moment of every day, with all his heart, mind and soul, ik hoke, ik gaye. Ik means completely focused, single-mindedly. He sings the kirat, the praise of Hari or Vaheguru. Patit jaat uttam paya. People call his jaat, people call him patit, they call him low, they call him untouchable. But Guruji says no, he's not untouchable. Uttam paya. In fact, he's the greatest, he is uttam. Char varn paye pag aaye. And Guruji says char varn. All of the other social castes, all of the class, all of the other people came and fell at his pag, at his feet. And there are various stories of how Rani Challa, who was the queen of that area, came and fell at the feet of Bhagat Ravi Daas Ji. And there are other stories of how when Rani Challa invited Bhagat Ravi Daas Ji to eat, when she called for a langar, when she called for all of the holy men in her area to be fed, all of the other holy men were of the Brahmin caste, and they said, oh, we're not going to eat with Bhagat Ravi Daas. The story is long, but to cut it short, Bhagat Ravi Daas Ji closed their eyes, meditated upon the Lord. And what did each of these high caste people saw? They saw that on either side of them was a Ravi Daas. And they all fell at the feet of Bhagat Ravi Daas Ji. Naam Dayv preet lagi har seti. Bhagat Naam Dayv Ji was truly in love with Hari, with Vaheguru. Lok chipa kaha bulaye. But people, all they see is his outer work, and they say, oh, he's a Shimba. He dyes fabric. He washes cloth. That's all he is. Khatri, Brahman, Pitt de shode. But remember this, Guru Ram Das Ji says, Khatri, those people from the Kshatriya caste, and the Brahman, those people from the Brahman caste, Pitt de shode. Vaheguru Ji turned their back to them. Now what is this story? This story is when Bhagat Naam Dayv Ji, and this mandir is there today. Bhagat Naam Dayv Ji went to the mandir singing the praise of God. The high caste people inside cast Bhagat Naam Dayv Ji out, threw him to the back of the mandir and said, you cannot worship with us. And to this day we can see that mandir. For those people who are doubting, you can go there and see it. Vaheguru turned the face of the mandir away from the high caste people and turned the whole mandir around to face Naam Dayv. It is still there. It's near Sachkhand Sri Hazur Sahib. You can go and see it. It's about a day's drive from there. Khatri Brahman Pitt de shode. Har naam deo liya mukh laye. And Vaheguru Ji showed their mukh, their face, towards Bhagat Naam Dayv Ji. Jitne Bhagat har sevaka. Jitne, all of those people who are Bhagats. Now what does it mean to be a Bhagat? It means to be single-mindedly focused upon the Lord, to be completely in love with God. And if we ask, Sheikh Farid Ji, what does it mean to be a Bhagat? Sheikh Farid Ji tells us in their words, in their sloks, what a Bhagat truly is. Sheikh Farid Ji tells us, and we can find this slok on Ang 1384 Guru Granth Sahib Ji, Mat hodi hoye ayana. Even whilst being wise, they are outwardly simple. Taan hode hoye nitana. Even whilst having all the power inside them, all of God's power inside them, they appear weak outside. They remain humble. Ana hode aap vandai. Even when they have nothing to share, they share with others. Ko aisa Bhagat sadai. And Sheikh Farid Ji says, such a Bhagat. And Guru Ram Das Ji says, those people who are Bhagats, har sevakan, those people who serve the Lord, mukh 68 teerth tin tilak kadai. Now many people have interpreted this in many ways. But Gurmukh Pyareo, mukh 68 teerth tin tilak kadai, even the 68 teerth, even the 68 holy places of pilgrimage, even those places that everybody considers to be pure, even they apply a tilak, apply a ceremonial mark to the forehead of those Bhagats. What does that mean? Even they bow down to those people. What does this mean? That those teerths, even those places of pilgrimage, bow down to these people. Guru Sahib Ji is telling us that these Bhagats, those people who meditate upon the Lord, they are higher, even higher than these places of pilgrimage that people go and bow down to. And Gurmukh Pyareo, another way of looking at this is that by looking at them, by having their darshan, by having their vision, by seeing these beloved devotees of the Lord, it is like seeing all of the places of pilgrimage. Upon their forehead there is such a light shining that it dims out all of the lights of the world. Jan Nanak tinko an din parse je kripa kare har rai. Sri Guru Ram Das Ji says, if I get the kripa, if I get the blessings and the grace of Hari, of Vaheguru, of my Rai, my King, Lord God, then andin, day and night, I parse, I touch their feet, I sit in their sangat, I sit in their company, I listen to the words of these people. The Gurmukh Pyareo, Guru Ram Das Ji Maharaj is blessing us with this ardas. Oh God, like we say every day, Sahi Pyare Mehl, unite us with those beloved souls, Jina Milya Tera Naam Jityave. Those souls who meeting, we remember God. Jitne Bhagat Har Sevaka, Mukh 68 teerth tin tilak kadaye, Jan Nanak tinko an din parse, je kripa kare har rai. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.